From cabins to camper vans to cottages, tiny living comes in all shapes and styles. Today, we're looking at 3 of the most unique tiny homes you've ever seen. Starting with the Irelys, a family of 6 who live in a bus they converted into a home. This isn't just any regular school bus, though. The Irelys built their home in a double-decker bus. Take a look.
Hey everybody, my name is Darin Irely. My kids call me Big Papa. I've got 6 kids and my wife. We live here in our double-decker tour bus that we've converted. Come on in and let's check out my house. All right, walking in the front door, we have my my home office slash cockpit of the bus. This is just where I do all my work. We've got my computer screens that we set up whenever we get stationed somewhere, and all my GPS, things like that, right up here up front. So moving from the office back in the bus, we've got our kitchen area. So starting off, we have our fridge and freezer. Fridge on one side, freezer on the other, and then we've got our full kitchen back here. So on the driver's side is really just the cabinetry with our countertop and then storage below it. And then on the passenger side of the bus, we have our sink. It's a 30-inch sink, and we've got a 2-burner stove and an oven there as well. A little bit of storage on this side. We wanted, we did this whole farmhouse-style, and we chose to do an induction oven just because we didn't have any gas in the bus other than that would have been anyways. So we went ahead and just did the induction oven. We did a 2-burner because, frankly, we do a lot of things in our Instapot, and then we do a lot of cooking outside, and we knew we weren't going to be using it very frequently. So we just did a 2-burner stove, and then we did a pretty deep sink. So it's the 30-inch, and it's actually pretty deep with the cutting board and the rack on top of it. So back behind the kitchen, we have our dining area. And one of the things we really love about this space is really all the windows. We've got these big giant windows that was one of the reasons why we bought the bus in the first place. And so we get all the natural light in here. The backs of these seats fold up to create a dining room table. Dinner as a family is really, really important to us, so that was a big deal. Then we've got this whole area that's just full of storage where we can, the kids have their cereal and things in here in the mornings. We've got a lot of the food that stores in there, and that goes pretty much all the way down to the floor. And then above it, we've got our air conditioning. We have 2 air conditioners here. We've got one for while we're driving and another one for when we're parked. So one of the things with these 2 AC units right here, we don't really feel like this one is sufficient while we're driving. And so we really wish we would have gone with something a little bit bigger for this driving AC. And for the one here, going back and doing this again, I probably would have put a 2nd unit down here in the downstairs, probably one up closer to the front, rather than just having this one. Well, it does keep this area cool. It has to be pumping all the time. So it's just kind of a learning curve there. We've never done something like this, so that's a learning curve for us. Right, so here towards the back of the first level of the bus, we have our bathroom. It's a smaller bathroom, obviously. The toilet sits really low. That's because we've got some access panels there that need to be able to open. And with the bathroom, we've got a macerating toilet. That just basically means that it pumps everything up to the black tank that sits higher than the toilet is. So this is just our little bathroom down here. Sink, pretty basic stuff. And one of the things here is that this is not the only bathroom we have in the bus. So we decided to have 2 separate bathrooms and then an entirely separate shower. With 8 people living in this space, we wanted to make sure that everybody has access to what they need when they need it, right? So we didn't put the shower in any bathroom area. That's a totally separate space. And aside from this small bathroom, we've got another small bathroom upstairs as well. All right, so now that we're done with the downstairs, we're going to go ahead and walk upstairs, and I'll show you everything around up there. So about halfway up the stairs, we have our shower, and it's a full-size shower. I'm a little bit of a bigger guy, and I've got plenty of room to move around in here and take my shower. It's got the Nautilus door on it that we really love because it just hides out of the way really easy. And this, we cut this door, or the shower, into the storage area of the bus so that we'd have a full 7-foot shower. So the shower head is above me, and we can get all all the shower we need without scrunching over and having too tight of a space. So the other thing with this shower is that we chose to do a cedar shower, and cedar is water and mold resistant, and we've sealed it with some oil to make sure that it's going to last a long time, longer than we'll even have the bus. So it's pretty nice, and it actually smells real nice in here too. All right, so up here at the top level of the bus, we have our washer and dryer. This is a ventless washer dryer combo unit. We wanted something a little bit bigger, but we ended up with this one, and it's just really nice to not have to switch out laundry and things like that. Just to have the one unit in the bus, it doesn't take up as much space. So with this smaller washer and dryer, this is a 2.5. It's an LG 2.5 cubic washer dryer, which is a lot smaller than what we were used to in our house before. And the unit we wanted was 4.5 or something like that, and this definitely is smaller. And because it's smaller, it means that we're either running it all the time or we'll have to go to laundromat periodically. We try to avoid that as much as possible and just try to use this. But it means that it's running all the time, and it really means that we've got to be hooked up to water a lot, just because it is using water. So there's some pros and cons in this washer and dryer for sure. So another unique feature with this bus, and I don't think we've showed this to anybody, but one of the things we wanted to make sure is just cleaning the bus. With 6 kids, obviously, we're going to have a lot of dirt moving around in here and stuff. And we didn't just want to sweep that all down the stairs. And so up here, we actually put it's called a Sweepo-Vac underneath the washer and dryer. So right here under this washer and dryer, we just sweep everything right to it, push this button, and it gets everything in there. And it's easy to clean out. Takes all of our makes cleaning the upstairs much easier, and we're not just brushing everything downstairs for a bigger mess. All right, so moving back in the bus, at the top of the stairs, we have the kids' bunks. Each of the kids has essentially it's a twin size bed. It's an RV twin, and then they've got these shelving units at the end of their bed as well. This is the only one that actually has a window, and that's just because this is the child that we feel most comfortable having a window without sneaking out, So this one's got a window, and each of the kids kind of picked their own space. As we go along, they'll be modifying and kind of personalizing their own space. Right now, they all look fairly similar, though. So moving back a little further, this is the second bathroom. It's just as small as the one downstairs, maybe a little bit smaller even. But that's the one that the kids primarily use because it's right here next to their beds. So back here at the back of the bus, there's this seat. I use this. My wife uses this to read the bedtime stories to them when they're going to bed at night. And then on either side here is closet space. So they've all got their stuff hung up here. Being that there's 8 of us in this bus, we've minimalized a lot. So it's not like they have a ton of clothes to put back here, but we've got, the towels and things like that back here as well. And then the kids will use these hooks to hang whatever they feel like they need to. All right, so as we move to the front part of the bus upstairs, we've got a little bit of a bench here, and then this is really our living area. The backs of the chairs do the same as downstairs where they fold forward. We've got one bench that's full of all of their schooling stuff because we homeschool the kids. And then another one that's full of all of our board games and fun stuff. Here, this one. And then we come forward, we've got another mini split unit. Again, just like downstairs, I wish we had a second one of these up here. I think it would have just made things a little more comfortable. The upstairs in this bus gets really, really hot. I don't spend as much time up here. It is a little bit shorter of a roof, and but the kids are up here quite a bit. So this area, I wish we maybe would have had a second mini split unit up here, but this suffices for now. And then as we move forward from here, we have our king bed and kind of our area. We use this area, obviously, my wife and I. This is our bed that's in here. This folds up with a headboard and a footboard at night. But during the day, we wanted the kids to have area that they could play. So it folds down where they can play with anything that they need to. We store a bunch of their toys up there in front of the dresser. And, you can see the Nerf blaster hanging out over there and whatnot. So this is kind of the kids' area during the day, and then at night we convert it into our bedroom. We really wanted to make sure that the kids' areas didn't have to, most RVs, the kids' areas have to be converted, especially when there's a big family. We wanted the kids to have their own very private personal space where they can kind of get their own retreat. So we decided to make our area the area that would be convertible as we go. All right, so that's it for this level of the bus, the second level of the bus. let's go ahead. We set the ladder up, so let's go ahead and go up to the roof deck. Up here on the roof of the bus, we have our deck. This is really just an area we like to lounge. The kids like to put up a hammock between the two rails. When we're driving, these rails are down, and it makes us, 13.5 foot tall, so we have no problem driving it. But when we get where we're going, we put up the rails, and the kids can come up here and hang out. They love hanging out up here. We do movie nights up here quite a bit. The kids like lounging around in the hammocks or in the the trippy outdoor chairs that we use. And this is just really just kind of more of a private outdoor space for us. We don't have any slide outs or anything like that on the bus, and so this kind of gives us that little bit of extra space that we need. And it's kind of a cool space because we're up so high, and we've also got our solar panels front and back. We've got 4 355 solar panels, so they work really well for us and get us some power when we're off grid. So one of the things about building this deck up here, the top of the bus is not reinforced, and it's actually really slippery as well if it was just the bus top. So we went ahead and we put down boat decking. It's just adhesive boat decking that makes it so it's more anti-slip. It's got a little bit of a cushion, and it's not very thick. That was the other issue we saw and we had when we see all these other schoolie builds that have like wood decking, and it was going to be too much. There wasn't enough space to put something like that up here. So this, faux decking, it's boat decking, and it comes in all sorts of different patterns and colors. We went with this one that looks like wood, but it really works out really well to make it safer for the kids. They're not slipping around up here and things like that. And then the other thing we do just for safety for the kids, when we come up here, it's usually I come up by myself through the front hatch, and then I'll work my way through the solar panels and set up these rails. We set up the rails on either side. Those are held up by some gas shocks. And then we have, and we don't have them up right now, but normally we've got these rails down here that we then pick up and they actually pin into either side so that it makes it a lot more secure. We've got those front and back, and that just gives the kids a little bit better of a area they know to stay in, and we're not having kids walk towards the front or back of the bus where they shouldn't be messing with solar panels and falling off the bus. All right, so here we are on the outside of the bus. We have a little bit more work to do on the outside. We're going to put graphics and stuff on it so it looks more like an RV, a Class A RV, and less like a bus. One of the things we most recently did is we replaced all 8 tires on the bus. I actually did that yesterday. So not a cheap thing to do, but the tires that were on it had some sidewall cracking. They were 7-8 years old, and when it comes to the safety of the family, there's nothing that no amount of money that would prevent me from doing that. So we went ahead and put the new tires on there. It's $10,000 worth of new tires, and all the way around we've got 8 new tires. So that's probably the biggest expense we've had on the exterior of the bus so far. We're going to redo this wrap. This gray wrap is really, really terrible job that's done on it. So we're going to redo all that and get the whole graphics going on here. We've got some seals and things to do as well. One thing that some people may notice is that our front tires and our back tires are the same, but these drive tires in the middle are different. So the front and back are Michelin's, and they are 365/70 R22.5. But these center ones, these are the drive tires. These are actually Yokohama's, and that's just because the company that we bought the bus from before we did the build had converted the front and back. They'd already changed them over to this size of tire, and Michelin's the only one that makes this size of tire. So we went ahead and did that, and then the bus company had us do these, and we made sure that all the weight ratings are correct. The bus itself is just over 47,000 pounds. We went and weighed it. We weighed all 3 axles on the scales and made sure that the tires that we put on here are safe for the weight that we have going down the road. And then we've also got an outdoor shower, and in this area here, as well as this is where we open up to get into our black tank. So we can drain everything from here, and just a big storage area that we've got back here. So all of our tanks are back here. Just anything that we need, all our storage, everything we carry along with us while we ride is back here in the storage area. And it doesn't have to be accessed through there. We can also access it through this door where we can just walk in to the bus. So back here, this is where I was saying we can walk into the bus. We have our black water tank that sits up high. And then we've got our freshwater tank kind of in the middle and our gray water tank down here a little lower. The black water, 70 gallon, and then the other two are 75 gallons each. So it gives us kind of plenty of water as we go. We try to stay hooked up to water wherever we are, but if we're not, we've got plenty of water on board with us, and that works pretty well. The one tank that you don't see back here is actually our fuel tank, which is a 166 gallon diesel fuel tank. Common question we get is about the fuel mileage we get, and fully loaded, we're getting about 6.5 miles a gallon, depending on headwinds, right? I mean, if I'm getting a wind coming straight at us, we're obviously getting a lot less because it is a brick. But I mean, typically we're running about 6.5 miles a gallon. All right, over here on this side of the bus, this is really kind of our power bank, where we've got 8 lithium-ion batteries. These are from Lion Energy. They're the Safari UT 1300 batteries. I think they're each 105 amp hours. And so carrying all this back here, and we've got our 6,000 watt inverter, and then we've got just all of our power stuff back here. We do carry a generator with us just in case, but we've never had to use it, and I don't expect we really ever will. But I didn't want to be without that if we really got into a situation where we needed it. So this is kind of where all our solar comes in, and this is what powers our bus. When we're stopped at any place, we just hook up to shore power, 50 amp shore power. And then we've also got our water hookups here. And back in here, you would see we've got a 20 gallon residential hot water heater. If anybody wants to follow along on our journey and see the things that we're up to and the activities that we're doing and the parks we're visiting or the hikes we're going on, anybody can follow us like across social media, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, anything. We go by Double Decker Family or Double Decker Fam. We also have a website that has nothing to do with our travels at this point. We'll probably put stuff on there, but it's just DBLDKR, stands for Double Decker. Any questions you have, feel free to ask here on this channel or visit one of our channels. Ask us any questions that you've got. We're happy to answer them.
That bus was truly one of a kind, packed with creativity and ingenuity. Let me know in the comments what your favorite feature was. Up next, we have James and Darin. They built this beautiful Southwest-style home from the ground up, milling much of the lumber themselves. You're not going to want to miss all of the building insights they have to share. Let's take a look.
This is our passive solar home that we affordably built in 9 months for $39,000.
With one costly mistake.
Come on in and we'll show you around.
Welcome to my kitchen. It's where I spend most of the time, and it works very well. It is small, but it is very efficient, and to me that is very important in a kitchen, that you don't have to be moving from one corner to the other while you're working. It's just all right there, a few steps from each other, and you can get a lot done in a little bit of time. One thing I've learned from experience in our other house build is I had my kitchen on the south side of the house, and it was so bright and so hot, so I wanted it in the shade, so we did it on the north wall. That is something to keep in mind when you are building, is the location of like your main workspace, that it is a convenient place to work no matter what time of the day. This part of the kitchen is my main work station. On this side of the stove, we have just a small soapstone countertop, and that is so anytime I need to take a kettle off the stove, I have a place to put it that I don't have to worry about it burning the countertop without getting some kind of a hot pad, protection on the countertop. So that's the purpose of this soapstone here. And as far as the colors that we chose in here, our home is a Southwestern themed home. And I wanted not just bright aqua cabinets, but I wanted it kind of in that family. So I'm really pleased with this kind of blue-green color that it turned out. Our countertops are walnut. We got them from a friend up the road, and James cut them down and finished them off, and they are very, very beautiful. And I don't have any doors on my cabinets because doors are in the way. And people say, "Whoa, don't you have problems with them being messy all the time?" Not really. It's all right here, and it's very easy just to quick, rearrange it so it looks okay. But the overall efficiency of it, I like it. And I have no lack of storage space. I have 11 drawers here, and we put all drawers in our lowers instead of doors with shelves because it's just so much easier to see what's in your drawers. Here is my corner pantry, and the reason I love a corner pantry, if you have your cabinets come clear to the corner, it is a very inefficient use of your space. You have these lazy Susans and they're just hard to get to and you lose a lot of space. But when you make a pantry in the corner, you lose no space, and it's not that big. I mean, you know, it's like so. But I have all kinds of storage in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shelves. Yeah, just all my miscellaneous baking stuff and whatever else I want to store in there that I don't want anybody to see. Just come out and shut the door, and there it is. It can be messy in there and nobody knows the difference. Here we are at my island, and I have a commercial sink. I am in love with commercial sinks. I had one in my bus. This one has 2 sinks. My bus actually had 3. But being as I have a dishwasher, I decided I could get by with 2 sinks. But one of my real selling points that I love about my sink here is I have a cutting board here, and this is where I do all my prep work for my food, my meat, veggies, whatever, and it's very much easy cleanup. It's right in the sink, not on your countertop, and so that is what I really love about it. Concrete countertops here. James did that. He molded them or shaped them so all the water drains to the sink. I never have to worry about water coming off the sink. There are all kinds of dimensions of commercial sinks, different sizes, and I wanted just a certain size of sink, so we actually ended up ordering this one from Home Depot. We positioned our island like this. A triangular kitchen with this island on an angle makes the most efficient use of your space. Everything is close. My fridge is close, my stove is close, and so it makes it a very easy kitchen to work in. Another thing I love about this island is when I'm working here, I have these most amazing views, and that is very uplifting when you're doing the dirty work of doing your dishes. So from the other side of the sink is the bar here, and I like to have a bar on the outside of my kitchen so when my grandkids come over, they can sit on the bar and entertain me while I'm cooking, and James will sit here quite a bit and we'll talk while I'm in the kitchen. It's just a good social space to have. Coming in from my kitchen, there's the island, and then this cabinet here is our coffee bar. That's the main purpose of it, and numerous more drawers for cutlery, junk drawer, whatever. And then my dishes are here. Yeah, it's just a very nice place, and when I stumble in here in the mornings, my coffee is made already by my barista husband, and I look out the windows and enjoy the views, and it's just a very nice way to wake up in the morning.
We're in the living room now. The design here has to do with our views. So we got a lot of windows on the east and the south, and our views are beautiful. And that's why we arranged this area like we did. This coffee table comes from the house we built before, and this was the biggest log that we had from that house. I have my own sawmill. So all of the wood in here, I cut myself. This log was from the wood that I cut for the other house, and this was the largest piece, and I thought it was really cool. And so I saved it and made a coffee table out of it. And the bottom is actually beer kegs that I just cut in half and polished. And that's one cool thing about building southwestern style. It's a little more rustic, so like cutting your own wood, it goes with that. So yeah, it all turns out cool. It's also very economical. So it's a cheap way to build. I'll say economical. It's not cheap, because if you would hire this done, it would be very expensive. But when you do it yourself, it's very inexpensive, but it does cost you labor. We're back over here by the pizza oven. I've built several of these. This is probably the 3rd or 4th pizza oven I've built. And this time I bought a kit. And the reason for that is the price of fire brick has really gone up over the last number of years, like a lot of things have. And this was the most economical way that I could do this, but also it was really fast. This also acts as a masonry heater, and this really gets interesting. So the reason I like a pizza oven for the base of my masonry heater is a pizza oven burns really, really efficient. They actually have their own catalytic converter in the pizza oven, and it's totally natural. So when you heat a pizza oven, when it gets to a certain point, the dome of your pizza oven gets hot to about, when it gets up to around 600 degrees, it does what they call flashes, and it burns off the soot off the dome of the pizza oven. Once it does that, all the smoke that hits that dome ignites. So it burns completely clean, 100%, well, it burns all your smoke. Every exhaust in a pizza oven is the front of the oven. So it burns across the dome, ignites the smoke, and then it comes out of the exhaust and goes up. Now above this, inside of this, there's a heat exchanger, and it's a 150-gallon stainless steel tank. And so this pipe goes into that tank, but it goes into the tank about halfway up in the tank. And then the exhaust out of the tank is at the bottom of the tank. This is all by design. So heat rises. And when the heat goes into that tank, the hottest air goes to the top of that tank and stays there. And then your coolest air is what exhausts out the bottom. And this is especially important after you get done burning. Let's say you burn your wood in the evening, you shut it down, you go to bed, and there will be air that gets into this and is being exhausted all the time. But it's always exhausting your coolest air instead of your hottest air. Your hottest air is going to stay at the top of that dome. And in masonry stove jargon, that's called a bell. So these bells are placed to hold the hottest air, and that way you're not exhausting the hottest air out of your space constantly. And the way I did this one, I bricked this all up and then stuccoed it. But before I got done bricking with just a little gap at the top, I actually filled this all up with sand. So there's about 12,000 pounds worth of sand inside of this. Well, the whole thing has about 12,000 pounds of mass. So when you burn this, it burns really efficient because you burn it wide open. You never choke it back. You never have creosote. It burns up in there, but your heat is stored in that sand. So this heat will last for days. It's really a cool concept. It's been used for years and years in Northern Europe. Russia especially, in fact, it has the name a Russian fireplace. That's how this whole system works. I know it's a little bit complicated, but if you want to look it up, you can look it up. Masonry stoves, heat storage, Russian fireplaces, bells of Russian fireplaces. It gives you the concepts that I used in this. So this is a desk area, and we are not quite done with this area. Eventually, we're going to have bookshelves here on the wall. This is just a piece of walnut that I bought off a neighbor, and it turned out cool. It's got this little hole in the top that works great to run your cords through so you don't have to drill your own hole. And also, I'm going to eventually put a bank of drawers there on that side. All in all, it turned out really great. This is a beautiful piece of wood, and I think we're really going to enjoy it.
Okay, this is our little dining area. We just wanted a small table here that we could sit out while we eat our meals and enjoy the lovely views. Also, we didn't want just a square table. We bought this wood from our friend, and James cut it in wedges, and then we just kind of worked with it to make an organic shape. You can actually seat around 5 or 6 people around this small space, so it works pretty good. And then another thing I like about this spot in our windows, we have a little wider window sills. We use Saltillo tiles, and they're great for setting on. Another thing with our windows, they are just plain clear glass. These are double pane windows, but you do not want the low E glass that they put in most houses everywhere because that reflects the sunshine. So it's for helping keep your house cool, but it's not good for heating your house. You just want the clear, plain glass, old-fashioned glass windows. I love the curve that is here in this corner. It breaks up the squareness of the house. In a small house, you need more details, and it's just a lovely place to have my plants.
So this is the back part of the house. This is our dressing area, also utility room. We have our clothes storage here, bathroom behind me, closet there. Yeah, just a multi-function room. And when you build small, of course, everybody that has done this knows this. You have to use your spaces for more than one thing, and that's what this space is. Yeah, it works very, very well. We really enjoy this space. Whenever you separate your spaces out, just like the washer and dryer here, if you would enclose this, it makes your space feel smaller, and by leaving it open, it makes your space feel bigger. And there's trade-offs. You will see the washer and dryer in here, and some people don't like that. You have to decide what's the most important to you and then just roll with that. We like it more open. We like the more expansive feel, and so that's why we have it like we do. We got onto this in our bus, and when you're in a very small space like a bus, you have to be very efficient with your space, and we really fell in love with these open compartments. What it does is separate your clothes into sections, makes it very organized. Another thing I like is you can see it, so there's no guessing what you have here, and you can just easily pick which color, which pants, which shirt. Yeah, it's very quick. We like it. It's very efficient. I custom built this. These are just pieces of plywood with little strips nailed on the side. And then I have a friend that has a cabinet shop. He actually put the facing on these pieces, and these are just simple little 1/2-inch pieces of melamine. It's a very simple design, very easy, very fast to build, and very inexpensive. It was great. We're over here by the vanity. I am not done with this. I'm going to put a mirror here on the wall and also the light fixture. But the cool thing about this is the top. This technique is called tattle-act. It's a Moroccan technique, and it's really cool. If you look it up and you would actually buy material to do this, it would be expensive. And if you would hire it done, it'd be very, very expensive. But when you do it yourself and you just use off-the-shelf stuff, it's very inexpensive, very cheap. I made this sink just out of plywood, and then I lined it, the whole thing with Schluter's, which is what you put in showers. And then I started with my tattle-act top. So it's hydrated lime and sand. You mix that together and you just trowel it on. And you put several coats of that on. And then to finish it is really unique. You actually use soap. I made my own soap. I made olive oil soap, and then you emulsify that in water, and then you just brush it on. And it ends up really, really cool. I didn't realize this, but homemade soap like that actually has a certain portion of wax in it. And that soaks into the lime plaster, and it has a chemical reaction. It makes this stuff completely waterproof. And I'm sorry you can't feel this, because the feel is really cool. It's got a real waxy feel to it, but it turned out looking really cool, I think. So I made my shower out of slate. This would have been very expensive if I would have just gone to the store and bought it. But I had a friend that had a stack of this slate. It was actually a whole pallet full that I'd seen in his backyard for quite some time. So when I got ready to build this, I contacted him to see if I could get some off him, and he was glad to get rid of it. So bought it for $100 and installed it. So it turned out really cool. When you're gonna build inexpensive, you have to be looking for those kind of bargains. So keep your eyes peeled when you get in your friend's backyard. We tried to keep a feel throughout the house. This house is built with natural products throughout. This is natural stone, and it just all fits together. And for a good house design, that's what you want to do. You want to make sure and keep a certain theme throughout. And I feel like this shower answers that. Our house is off-grid. We've used composting toilets through the years for different applications. But in the county we live in, you must have a septic tank installed before you can get a building permit. So we have a septic tank, and this is a regular flush toilet. And those of you that live in town, you would think this is kind of strange, but this is the first flush toilet we've had for quite a few years. The people that visit us that aren't used to the more hippie ways, they're glad for this. But yeah, it's okay. But we still like our composting toilet pretty good.
Here's our bedroom. I painted the walls dark, decided to do that in contrast with all the light colors in all the other rooms, and I love the dark walls in here. Another thing I love about our room is the big windows. It is amazing when you're laying in bed and look out at the stars at night. It is really, really beautiful. And to wake up to the sunrise is really gorgeous also. Another thing I like about laying in bed, you look up at the ceiling and see the warm beams, the dark beams in contrast to the lighter ceiling. It creates a really nice ambience in here. Our bedroom is really very minimalistic. We only have a bed in here. And right now our bed is on the floor. Eventually we will get a platform built maybe 16 inches off of the floor. We'll have storage under there. Oh, another thing of interest is the wall sconces in here. James made those and they cast a really nice glow in the evening when we have them on. Yeah, this is a really nice, warm bedroom space that we really do enjoy.
I want to tell you about these roof beams. These are spruce beams. The University of Alaska has a span table for round wood for poles. So these are designed according to their tables for our snow load. And actually, our snow load here is 50 pounds per square foot. And this roof has a 100 pound per square foot design. So it wasn't like we just threw a dart at a dartboard and picked the logs. These are actually using a span table just like you would for any lumber that you would use. I put them on my sawmill and just flattened the top. By flattening them, it gives you a good flat surface to put your ceiling on, but also an easy place to take your measurements, like for notching into your walls and things like that. It gives you a good place to measure off of. So that's how I did that. Then I cut my ceiling boards also, and they are ponderosa pine. So we got some variation in the color of the ceiling, but it really turned out beautiful. All the other wood in here I also cut. The beams on the windows and the uprights, they're all Doug fir. So we have 3 different species of wood in here. We have Doug fir, spruce, and ponderosa pine. And then I'm going to talk about the floor. We really like concrete floors. First of all, they're economical. You pour your floor and that's your finished floor. Like I said earlier, we made a mistake on this. We did have them color the concrete, which is very expensive. We could have done it ourselves for a lot less, but we colored it dark because of the solar gain. And this house works together with the windows. And the way this works is the sun shines in on the floor, heats the floor up during the day, and the floor gets to around, 95 degrees during the day, and then it radiates that heat out at night. But under the floor, this floor is about 5 inches thick, and under the floor we have 2 inches of insulation. And that's critical for a passive solar house, because if you don't do that, you'll lose all your heat into the ground. The walls are also concrete. They're just block that we stacked and then poured full of concrete. And all of that absorbs the heat from the sun during the day. And that's all part of a good passive solar design. Now the floor, as far as a finish, I actually concocted my own finish and it turned out working really good. Some of those things, those experiments are fails, but this one was a success. And it's just linseed oil and paint thinner, and then a little beeswax and a little carnauba wax, and mix those together, heated them up. And right after we poured the floor, I went over and put my finish on the floor and just dumped it on the floor, kind of like just spread it out, and then used a squeegee and just squeegeed it out. And it was real fast. It probably took me, hour or two to finish the whole floor. And then when we got done building and we're finishing in here, I went back over it with buffing pads and buffed it, and it turned out really great. I can't say that about all my experiments, but this one turned out great. Our house here, we built out of a stucco block. You start out by stacking the block dry, put rebar in that, and then poured it full of concrete. Outside of that is styrofoam, and then on the exterior it's stucco. One of the things we did is, you can see the sills are all copper. The reason I did that, it gives it kind of a classy touch. Most of the time, houses that have copper trim on them are very expensive homes. And I just thought it would be cool to do a inexpensive home with copper trim. The other thing we did is the black on that is not paint. That's a technique called shosugiban. It's a Japanese technique where you actually burn the wood and then you go back and put oil on it. And it's very good in this locale because it resists UV rays and it's a very durable finish. In fact, the oldest wooden building in the world that's the way it's finished. It's in Japan, and the finish is a burned finish like that. We did color our stucco before we put it on, so that is more than skin deep. It's the depth of the stucco. So all in all, I think it's a very durable, very nice home. Turned out looking nice. The curve, it's visual. It's something that gives your house a look that kind of does away with just the old square block. This house is, on the outside, it's 32 feet square, and it's just a square box. But when you put those curves on, it gives it a little detail that kind of knocks at that look. So yeah, that's why we put them on. Inside they look cool, outside they look cool, but they also cut down on the wind noise, because most of your whistling comes from a house. The corners is where most of your noise comes from wind. As far as the maintenance is concerned, this is probably the lowest maintenance house you could build. With the wood burnt, it will never need to be painted. With the sills copper, that should never need any repairs at all. The stucco is good for 50, 60 years, and then the roof is tin, and that should last a long time. So I don't expect any maintenance at all in our lifetime. When you design a house, sometimes when you get in it, you think, well, this we would have changed, that we would have changed. On this job, I would say it's as close to perfect as we could have gotten. We just really, really enjoyed this house. We want to thank you all for watching our video. We hope it inspired you. Maybe someday you'd like to build your own.
Hey, y'all have a good day.
Those big windows are amazing, and I learned so much from watching that tour. What do you think was the best feature from Jane's and Darin's unique home? For this next one, we're taking it further off-grid to Mike's home that he built from stones and trees on his Lake Tahoe property.
20 years ago, I decided to go off-grid here, so I bought the 40-acre lot, 35 minutes from Lake Tahoe. There's no power up here, wasn't a road to where we're at, and it made everything cheap as far as something in California. Welcome to my tiny house, built out of rock. I'm Mike Bassett. I'll show you around. We're in a Pentagon floor plan, and it's about 20 years old. It's all built out of the rock within probably a 200-foot radius of the property. The wood is milled by hand up here as well. It has a kitchen. It's got a shower, a little couch, lots of windows facing the south for warmth. I got a loft for the bed, and my fireplace is kind of the center point. That's my heat source, my cooking source. I have a little oven, and the toilet's outside. Pretty simple setup. Outside is also a hot plunge and a cold plunge, which is super fun, especially when it's snowing out. And all the cement has been mixed by hand up here with creek water. That was my water source for 20 years. And I have now a well, which makes life so much more simple, which now I'm kind of just enjoying the place. So the start of the kitchen is my wood counter, which walking in the front door, that's kind of like the first place you set all your stuff for the day. Moving into the countertop here, this is marble. This is off an old job site someone gave me, which actually holds a really nice temperature that doesn't freeze, doesn't get super hot. So you can store vegetables on the shelves and they actually last a long time. This window opens, which is nice in the winter because you just open the window and you got an ice chest. So I don't use my fridge that much in the winter because it snows the temperature you want anyway. But in the summer I have a fridge, which is a $100 fridge, runs on a cigarette socket. Not super convenient, but it's actually very little used up here. The temperatures are pretty cool. I've gone through different refrigerators. I usually turn them off anyway because I don't like the noise because it's very quiet up here. But that's when I need it. It actually works more of as storage in some ways. It's kind of wrapped around with granite countertops as a box. And behind the fridge, there's a vent that I can open to get the outside air temperature. Because usually this side of the hill gets buried in the snow. So the temperature stays pretty steady. So it keeps at, 34 degrees. It's kind of perfect temperature. So that's why it's all kind of encased by rock. The kitchen's actually very simple. Has a 12-volt cigarette sockets. I do have a power inverter when I do need it. I don't need it that much actually, because I don't run toasters and hair dryers, that kind of stuff up here. That's a big equation to make things more complicated. And my drawers for silverware is very simple. So my kitchen has very few cabinets, but this is one that I have for more storing rice and stuff. Maybe a little mouse can get in the cabin, but not in there. And so that's my safe. I do have a mouse problem, which most people off grid have that problem for some reason. But that's just kind of built out of wood that I milled from the property. So from the door, I have a photo of before anything was built here. This is kind of with nothing done, if you can see that. It's got a little bit of a boulder to boulder type of feeling. The golden ratio is what everything here is built on. That's why I have the Pentagon shape, is all the points of the body. In the old days, that's what everybody used to use, because that was your kind of your natural instinct of measuring things, is because your body's built under that same mathematics. What it does when you're inside the building is kind of makes it more fitting to the body, because it's the same math. And then let nature help you guide the rest, meaning like watch the sun, watch the wind, watch your temperatures, sounds. All these things I feel like are important to building anything that you're going to use. I think it's the most important thing we could do is pay attention to nature and to our instincts. What I had for a drawing on the plan, there was a kitchen, actually it was on that side. And then I realized that's the south-facing side. If I build it over here, the temperature is gonna stay cooler because this part gets buried in snow. The sun's not beating against it. So I flipped the kitchen over here, which worked out to be amazing because it's in the shade as well from the big south-facing windows. There was a few little adjustments, but when I drew my floor plan, I actually drew it on the ground in a flat area and just pretended I was cooking. I was gonna go down and sit in the sun. And so that helped me shape how things are. Some of the walls are 3 feet thick, which hold a really good temperature, which I realized that as I was building, I'm like, oh, I wanna use that heat source, maintaining that temperature. So all the rocks built into the kitchen kind of help food last longer. When you're cooking with certain kinds of foods, you realize how hard it is to keep them fresh. So my diet's more like nuts, stuff that doesn't take refrigeration. So everything's really simple, working with outside temperatures a lot, and that's why there's a lot of rock built into the kitchen. So my sink is a stainless steel homemade one. It's my first welding job for stainless steel, which is not easy, but it's fun. There's a 12-volt RV pump that runs the power, and I actually have the pump on a switch, which is down here. You kind of turn it on, a little handle here that turns the water on, and then you have water. I like turning it off because sometimes, say a mouse bites through a hose, floods the whole floor. I've had it happen once and don't want to happen again. So I have a 200-gallon water tank below the floor here, which is kind of like a wine cellar type of vibe, which is great because it does not freeze in the winter. I don't have hot water. I heat hot water up on the stove. I have a little camp stove for quick hot water if I need it. It's really helpful in the winter, so I have that. Otherwise, I'm just dealing with cold water, about 45 degrees, which kind of gets cold pretty quick when you got it in your hands. And yeah, my little drying rack, drying station, and everything's kind of close. I got my fridge, I got my sink, I got the stove. I do 2 different things here for cooking cooktops. Right now I have this little camp stove, which is kind of really simple, or the top here, you can cook on that. Reason I have this is just if I'm only gonna be here for a couple minutes and wanna eat real quick and get back outside, I have that option. Cast iron pans work really good in this kind of environment because you're not washing them as like you would any other pot and pan. I cook a lot in the fire. Just it's like camping, which everyone enjoys camping. I don't know why everyone does it full time. Then maybe we'll go stay in a house as a vacation. I think it should be that way anyway. So my fireplace, I bought this. This is for about a 1,200 square foot house. The smoke goes underneath here in a pipe, and it goes underneath the floor of this little box, which I built out of soapstone. So the soapstone's actually, you can buy it in a big sheet, a slab. It's about 1.5 inches thick. You can cut it with a skill saw, you can sand it with sandpaper. And so I built a box pretty much that the smoke goes under it and around it, and that makes an oven. So I can get this up to about 400 degrees. It's a great thing for baking pizzas, cookies, and so that's really convenient. This is soapstone as well. Again, you can kind of just sit there and sand it. Olive oil, great way to finish it off. And the fireplace is actually pretty convenient for heating the place. I have a drying rack here for snow clothes. So you just hang up, dry your gloves. And the fireplace is actually one of more of my exciting places to hang because I can cook, stay warm. It's more of a multi-use. It's beautiful just to be around wood fire, of course. It's one of the best, soothing thing after being out in the snow all day. Helps clean up the property as well, burning wood. I have a lot of standing dead beetle kill wood, so it's easy to get that and drag it over the snowcat. Yeah, so cooking definitely changed being up here off grid. When I'm buying something, you're thinking about that a lot, what you're putting in the grocery bag. I try to use paper as much as I can or cardboard packaging because that helps me start the fire. Anything that I have to haul out of here, I gotta haul about 3 miles, which I'll do every 3-4 days. Take it on the snowmobile or a snowcat in the winter and get it back to the recycling center. And so that's changed the way I've shopped. And the way I've cooked, it seems like it brings actually a more healthier diet when you have that. And so I've been rewarded by the hardship of that. I mean, this kitchen is the perfect kitchen for me. I can actually host up to about 9 people in the wintertime in here and cook a beautiful meal for everybody. It's not that hard. So it's kind of everything I need. I feel like being up here, I don't feel like I've made any sacrifices on especially eating. Things simplified down are more rewarding to me, and I definitely enjoy the way I eat. So I get what I want out of this whole environment. So moving along here, this is actually a shower. I know like it doesn't look like much, but this is a sit-down shower inspired kind of from my travels to Japan. There's a drain in the floor. Any water that comes down here from the shower goes down into the drain. There's different ways of doing this. You can have a little pipe runs off the kitchen sink over for a cold shower. Or right here in arm's reach, you have a pot, just dump buckets of hot water on you. It's nice and warm, these rocks, as the fire gets going. And so it's kind of pretty cozy, pretty comfortable. It's very intimate, of course, when you have guests, you know. But this has kind of been a place where it can also in the summertime just be a nice place to chill. Moving along from the shower, I have my lazy boy. It's out of rock. It's a very relaxing chair to actually sit in. It's one of those projects also I moved the rocks around a lot, looking for the perfect rock. And the bottom one has a little bit of a curve to it to keep you in your seat from sliding down. This is more of just a straight up chill space, a place to read a book, watch it snow. It has the view of the mountains from here. And you can also just lay down and take a nap. It's a pretty nice place to get out of the sun later in the day. Across from the kitchen is my couch, dining, coffee table. This is kind of more like a chill area for different moments throughout the day. Usually I have breakfast sitting here because the sun is shining on here. A lot of people have actually kind of just chilled or even slept on this bench as a second bed. It's probably about 7 feet long. I moved it about 3 times in the cement before I got it where I wanted it to sit comfortably. Working with cement and wood, you want to clear coat the wood before you start putting cement on it. Otherwise your wood will get stained for good from the cement. And so that's what I did. I clear coated it, built it into the rock, brought the rocks around it, and then I actually sanded it again, took off the clear coat and sanded it again, then finished it. The wood on this one I milled out of a black walnut tree. The coffee table is an oak tree I milled. I went for a lower coffee table dining area because it just feels more cozy being closer to the ground, especially if I have more than a couple guests. People can sit on the floor on the other side of the table and we can have a big dinner here. This is kind of like one more of the center points because you can sit here and enjoy the view. You can be out of the sun or in the sun. And so it's a well-used area. I don't think I've made any sacrifices for what I think a living room should be. It's kind of nice because you sit here and someone could be cooking. It's a very social area being one room. And it feels pretty spacious because everything's built into the wall. The couch is cemented in the rock. Everything feels pretty cozy. The actual whole square footage of the house is probably about 230 square feet. with the loft, we're almost 300. This living room space, I would consider maybe a third of the space. All the rock is really wonderful having it on this side because the sun actually will come up and heat up the rock in the morning. And then in the evening, it starts to cool off. And so it seems like everything works really well together for where everything's facing. And I've been enjoying it. It's perfect for what I need. The way I started this process is there's a post in each corner of the house. I actually built the roof first, and then I actually brought the rock up to the house. I wanted the house to sit on something more solid than cold mixing cement. Each rock is dry stacked, meaning it just sits on the rock underneath it, and then backfilled with cement. And there's actually a bubble wrap separating the outer rock from the inner rock. But I tapered the rocks when I built it. I started this wall is about 3 feet thick, and at the top it's probably about 1.5 feet. Working with rocks, you kind of realize each rock is different. You got to figure out where it sits. Some rocks are great for walls, some rocks are great for chairs, some are for shelves. Some of these rocks are actually pretty heavy that I've dollied over. As I started building this, people started sending me rocks actually. And so I got some gifts of crystals I decided to put into the work, and that was kind of fun, just having that part of the process. There's a couple of crystals outside that light up at night, so they're great night lights. The windows are all made in place. I've welded them all out of just simple angled iron. This has one hinge on the top, so the window swings out that way. And I did a little bit of decoration with mountains, stars, stuff like that. That was all done before the glass was put in, and it took me about 5 years to where everything was enclosed. The glass was in, the rocks were done. Another 2 years to fine-tune this water system, so 7-year project for 300 square feet. It's kind of all I really need because I usually spend most of my day outside, and then this is more of a place to kind of feed yourself and a place to rest your head. Another thing that I milled is also the front door. The front door is a mix of metal, kind of how I made the framing for the glass windows. This one is probably about 2 inches thick of wood. And when you mill a tree that's green, I milled this one 4 years before I needed it. So I had a temporary door up, but it takes about 1/2 inch per year for a piece of wood to dry. So I waited patiently for that. It's a fun door because at sunset, these stars will actually light up from the sunset. There's a little hole with stained glass, and same thing happens when it gets pitch black out. If there's a light on inside, you can see the stars through the door on the outside. One interesting thing, building your own door, things move when they're thick and heavy and homemade. Wood moves, metal moves, and so when you're welding, it all seems perfect, which it was, and then it cooled off, and then you started to hear this, almost this tension of trying to open it. So it took me a while to figure out how to weld in different spots to make the door get tweaked back where I wanted it. Same with wood. Once you get it in place, it starts to acclimate and it kind of wants to tweak a little bit. So you got to get to know materials, they act different. It's one of the most things I've paid attention to on all of this build is how different materials work together, but you can make them all work together if you pay attention. I've broken 3 windows because the metal expanded and contracted at a rate I wasn't aware of. And so that took me some lessons to learn that. Stuff like that's kind of as you go, you make mistakes, you learn, and you'll get it right after a few times. We have the loft here, which is the sleeping quarters. You can sleep 3-4 people comfortably. And it's actually one of the first things I actually had done. And that helped me sleep up here, even though the whole other part of the house was tarps, trying to keep the snow out. It would snow down here sometimes. But I was able to at least be up here in the winter and get to know the weather. Of course, at night, it's a place to just chill, and there's a little window that opens, which is very helpful to regulate the temperature. Once you have a fire going, heat rises, and depending on what it's doing outside, can adjust things quickly. So that's one of the main keys that I've found is having a window access, arm's reach from your bed. The lights are with arm's reach there and a little charging plug. So that's kind of like the only thing I need for not getting out of bed unless I need to. My clothes is up there. It's a pretty low headspace. Again, it's kind of just a place where I personally just go to sleep and call it a day. And that's all I really need. So that's what it is. We're outside now. This is the deck area. We're sitting on 40 acres. The front is all south facing for reason of the sun coming in. Also, the view here is this way, That's why all the glass is on this side of the house. And also the highest part of the roof is to give it a little bit of a high pitch to bring in more sunlight to help heat the place. The roof is about 10 feet tall on this end of the house, and it tapers back to about 7 feet on the front door. The roof is kind of curved, which actually is amazing. The wind blows a lot of the snow off the roof because I'm up at a elevation that the snow load is about 500 pounds per square foot, so you got to really deal with some weight. It's actually been a big process to build the deck because I'm actually standing about 8 feet off the ground. There's another space underneath, and it's a cement floor, which is actually kind of nice, being cement for snow. I can use a snow blower, and also the hot tub. When it's running, the hot air actually melts the snow on the deck, and also just keeps the cement warm. Sleeping out here in the summer is pretty amazing. With this big door open, the house actually becomes twice as big. Having a flat surface in this kind of terrain's pretty amazing, just to sit down and put your gear, mountain biking, whatever it is, having a space to just chill is really helpful. If you go down one side of the deck, there's an outdoor fire pit, which is part of the summer cooking, and that's really fun. And then going the other way, the stairs down into the yard. So it's kind of like a multi-use. You got the stairs going in the hot tub, the cold plunge. Before I put these big pieces of glass in, the deck wasn't here, which was how I was able to get the glass in place. This size glass actually took me 2 years to put in. The reason is because the road in the summer is too bumpy for a truck, to bring this kind of glass up. So I brought it up with a snowcat and literally lift them right in, because each piece weighs about 400 pounds. And so it was quite a process to get those in place. The one swinging took me a lot of figuring out how to make it straight, not flex, and the hinge is all homemade. My biggest fear on having something like this is the wind can catch it, so you don't want to let go of the door. Right now it's locked in place. Again, having this is an amazing space to just make your house twice as big, because being outside is pretty amazing. The new addition to this whole area, 2 years ago, I dug a well. The whole structure is about a year old. Decided to build that out of cinder blocks just for time-wise and being stronger. I added a septic in the last 2 years as well. It's not hooked up yet, so right now I still have a compost toilet in the woods. Hopefully at some point I'll have a flushing toilet. All that stuff slowly in the horizon, but step by step right now. When I built this, I chose to wire it all for 12 volt. When you charge your phone, your camera, they're all 12 volt anyway. If you go from solar panels, which is 12 volt as well, into a battery through an inverter, which makes it 110, you lose actually a lot of energy. So I just kept it very simple. My solar panels got crushed this last winter from the snow load, but it's a 100-watt solar system, 2 batteries, about $200 for the batteries, and the rest is just cigarette sockets and USB plugs. And so it's like a $500 setup to run everything I personally need. That's kind of my basics of utilities. So I'm slowly getting a little more somewhat domestic. The one thing I've learned, if you go to bed with the sun, you don't need all this stuff to keep things lit, bright, going. So if you're into that, it's a little bit more just feeling in sync with the world, the earth. And that's actually been a really beautiful lesson for me. Thanks for visiting my tiny house here. Happy to share it with you guys. If you want more details or have any more questions, you can hit me up on Instagram, Mike Bassich, or 2for1clothing.com.
I've never seen anything like that beautiful home Mike built. If you've enjoyed these unique tiny homes, leave a comment below and let us know what you love. And thanks for watching.